To get us started, Priyanka, and kind of set the foundations a little bit of why storytelling is even important for technical leaders, let's talk a little bit about how technical storytelling differs from just simply reporting data or project status. Yeah, what's the difference, and how do you define it?
Yeah, so I think this question is just so important because especially when we are technical, right? A lot of what we think about is information and reporting that information, and stories don't come to us naturally. So here's the difference that I like to think about. The difference between technical storytelling and reporting or providing information is between, let's say, a recipe and a meal. Now let that sink in, right? When we are reporting data or project status, just listing ingredients like we reduce latency by X milliseconds, or the migration is going to cost us X amount of dollars. The migration 60% complete, or I don't know, we have 3 P1 bugs, right? Those are ingredients in my mind, parts of the recipe, but it's not a meal. And so when you think about storytelling, it transforms those ingredients from the recipe into something more digestible. So if I took an example, you could think about it as our database migration will take 6 months and it will cost us $2 million. That is what somebody who's just reporting information would say. Now, if I was to tell a story with that, that would look a little different. I would use something like, right now, every time a customer tries to check out, our database freezes for 3 seconds. We're losing X% transactions at that moment, and our database architecture was built in 2015 when we had only 10,000 users. Now we've grown to 2 million users, and it's not able to scale. And this migration will help us provide better services in Black Friday without crashes. So we need to invest in this, right? Like, that is a totally different way of serving the same information in the form of a meal. So what I did there is 3 things. I provided context, that what is going on, where we are today, where we were yesterday. I provided stakes. What's going to happen if we do or do not do this? And then I provided the impact. And the more you can lean into the human impact of the situation, the better impact you will have of your story. So in this case, the human impact was the benefit that we will get by being able to serve on Black Friday, but also the benefit that our customers would have by having a better experience on our website, right? So that is how I would define the difference between just reporting data and telling a story.
Why should technical leaders actually care about developing their technical storytelling skills? Why does that whole thing matter? Aside from you and I love to talk about it, clearly.
Yes, absolutely. So I think you touched on it very beautifully, which is especially when we come from technical backgrounds, we love our technical details. We take pride in sharing what we know and how much we know and how deep we can go. But what I've learned is it's not about explaining what's happening under the hood. And yes, in some cases it is about that, but it is more about talking in context of the other person and why they care. So let me give some examples. The why it matters is, I think, threefold. If you're whatever type of engineer you are, any technical discipline you're in, you will need executive buy-in to do something. And that executive is a decision maker. They are getting a daily dose of they're making lots of decisions every single day. They don't have time for technical deep dives. They need to understand the business impact quickly. And if you're not able to tell a story fast and you're going deep into the details, you're going to lose their attention. You won't get it. You won't get the buy-in. You won't get the money you need. You won't get the funding or the budget or the headcount or whatever it is that you need to make that thing happen. So it's very important, one, for executive buy-in, because that audience does not have the time to go into the details. Now, the second bit is the cross-functional alignment depends on it. And you kind of touched on this one where engineering understands the tech debt. Finance sees the budget ask. That's all they see. They don't understand the tech debt. Product sees the delayed features. And if you talk about marketing, they're seeing the risks. And the same initiative, if you look at it from all these different angles for different teams, is completely different to each stakeholder. So the story is that bridge that connects these perspectives together and brings everything to life. So that cross-functional alignment would depend on this as well. And the third bit is, I think it's very important to attract good talent. And so being able to tell great narratives to your potential new teammates is also important. What are we working on? The most challenging things. It's not about the details of how you're going to build the next cool AI developer tool, right? It is more about, hey, we're building and redefining, let's say, the senior engineers and what they would do in this new world. And that is a story worth joining versus, oh, we're building this XYZ tool, right? So being able to tell those narratives to also potential talent, I think those three aspects of being a technical leader are such core parts of our job that we need to incorporate storytelling in them. And the last one, which I think is an umbrella on top of all these, is your competition is already doing it. So if you don't do it, then you every technical decision is also a business decision. And if you don't get ahead of this right now, then you're going to be falling behind. Is how I see it. So I would say maybe those three pillars, and then the umbrella is, let's not forget the competition, which is already doing it.
The one more kind of starting or foundational question that I wanted us to talk about a little bit was, what do you find to be the core components of a good technical story? Like, is there a kind of repeatable structure or framework that people can follow?
I have a few that I use every day. So maybe I'll be brief, and then we can dive into each of these. That's more great.
And people have pointers for things to
exactly
Google or dive into deeper. Perfect. More, right? Yeah, I also have one or two, maybe depending on what you're sharing. So please
great.
Go.
Okay. So the one that I use every day is the power of threes. So I would just structure my thoughts in, we should do it in three ways, or we should think about it from three perspectives, or think about the three concentric circles coming together for this one main thing to happen that's in the center. So just the power of three, or think about it in a triangular shape. Like I'll actually draw it like this with my hands and be like, think about it three ways, and then I'll go either 1, 2, 3, or I'll do this and that, right? It just helps people visually be with you. And while you're talking, you may not have slides, and you should ideally just not have slides, right? You should just try to have them talk to you and look at you and go from 1, 2, 3. It helps you as well, because it keeps your thoughts in check and takes you, it keeps you away from rambling, I guess, as well. Like if you know that you could do that, which all of us are guilty of rambling, it allows us to say on check and be like, point 1, you should do this. Second is here. And three, if you've talked to me a lot, you know that I do this. So this is one, super easy. In any conversation, you can apply this one. The second one, where I have to actually describe something in a little bit more detail, or also again helps me check myself if I'm going off on the rails and deep into on a tangent or something. What, why, and how. And I'll structure the what, why, and how depending on which one I'm using first, but I'll describe the problem with what is happening. If you apply this to my database example that we were talking about, or the Black Friday example I was giving earlier, what is happening? Which situation are we in today? Where did we come from? How did we end up here? Could be that what. Why do we need to do this, or why are we doing this? Could be your second point, or I may sometimes move that to the very end, because that could be a good culmination for why we should do this and we should invest in this because, right? And then how, most of the times, I would structure how in the center, because that's where I'm trying to give a little bit more detail about the situation, or about what that investment could bring us, or how is it costing us. Those things could go in the how, right? So what, how, and why is a great framework. Again, doesn't require any prep. All you require is, in next conversation you have today, tomorrow, with anybody, try to think of those two frameworks: what, how, and why, and how can you structure your thoughts in that way.